Welcome everyone. My name is Heian Shin and I am the activity specialist for this public health and community education track.
Hi, my name is Lolimar and I am the staff lead for this track as well.
This track came about as a means to better understand what kinds of community-driven public health and education models might be possible in Upper Manhattan to address community needs. Our interns engaged in hands-on projects and tasks and also spoke with guest speakers who shared their experiences and expertise.
With our final public health and educational proposal in mind, our interns built towards a community plan for the issues of their choices. And here are some of the issues of their choice: mental health awareness, substance abuse, and nutrition.
Here are some topics we learned in our track, and you'll see them featured in today's showcase. These topics were presented with speakers from Center for Sustainable Development, as well as external guests, and through our interns' own research, readings, surveys and feedback, reflection and journaling, group work, team presentations, and creation of video and audio clips on public health issues.
Bad nutrition has become a major health concern in New York City over the last few decades. Our communities are plagued with unhealthy eating options, and we lack the resources that can educate people on what healthy eating looks like. The percentage of New York City adults who are obese increased from 17% in 1997 to 27.6% in 2018. As well, the percentage of adults in East Harlem who are obese compared to New York City adults is 30% compared to the average 20% in New York City. As well, obesity among children has tripled within the last few decades. Just imagine what that number might be in 5 or 10 more years. Your friends, family members, loved ones, and peers will all suffer from diseases such as heart disease, high blood pressure, and cancer, which could have been prevented at a young age had they known what a good diet looked like. It is imperative that we as a community break the cycle of living unhealthy lives by educating ourselves and our loved ones. We need to not only start living healthier and better lives, but we need to influence our community and the people around us to eat healthier and improve their lifestyles. To get more information about nutrition, I urge you to visit these two websites, choosemyplate.gov and nutritionfacts.org. We urge you to take action before it is too late. With dedication and educating our community, we can make a significant difference in the unhealthy lifestyles that our people live. And we can make everybody around us, everyone around us, live healthier and happier lives just with a better diet.
This is the nutrition group's final project. Our group has identified what we believe to be the root cause of bad nutrition in our neighborhood, and that is the lack of education on nutrition. It is evident that the top two causes of death in the United States are heart disease and cancer, which both stem from bad nutrition. As well, people in low-income communities simply cannot afford to eat healthy, and they're forced to eat unhealthy foods because that is all they can afford. Next slide. As a group, we are aiming towards educating our communities about nutrition. We want to focus on low-income neighborhoods that have a lack of healthy eating establishments. We are proposing courses that will help civilians find gyms and healthy eating options at affordable prices so they can live healthy and active lifestyles. It is imperative that we push education, as that would allow people to realize the detriment they are causing to themselves. So this is the community map that we made. It has the food establishments and everything. I added a little description. The target population are men and women from the ages from 20 to 60. Residents of low-income communities and those who suffer from existing health diseases. And then we also have a survey which will have in-person questions. And we also hope that adults will reach to educate their children as well, because that's also starts from your childhood. Like if you eat bad food from the time that you're like 5, you're gonna have those same habits when you're like 20. All right. The survey questions. Yeah, these are the survey questions. So, what is your name and how old are you? Just to know. Are there people with diabetes, heart disease, or that are overweight in your family? Do you have any kind of knowledge on nutrition, such as macronutrients, food that is good versus bad? Do you think you personally have a good diet, and have to be honest about this one? Do you know any places that sell healthy food where you live? Are they expensive? Do you go there often? Why not? Would you like to have more healthy food options around where you live and stuff like that? And yeah, and then I'm let Amy take over.
I search for organizations that help or give people food, healthy food, in low-income communities. There's CV Harvest, Community Food Advocates, and Green Market. Green Market is more popular because there is everywhere, almost everywhere, in low-income communities. Community Food Advocates give in schools, provide healthy lunch to public low-income schools. And City Harvest is an organization that advocates at the city, state, and federal levels for policies and actions. They are making or helping creating laws so people get healthy food. We plan to share the PSA in local portals and social media. From in my community, there's like a local newspaper, and there have a website, so we can put the PSA there, so people from my community can share to others from other communities. So we plan, after applying the solution, we plan to monitor the progress by doing surveys in healthy places and non-healthy places. We plan to ask how many people came to buy, like the population that buys in healthy and unhealthy, so we can see if the PSA and the old information works and change people's diet, or people still choose non-healthy meals. So we are taking data from supermarkets and items that are being sold, and healthier items that are being sold, and it's a good sign, and vice versa. So we can see if people are preferring tomatoes versus chips, for example. And track education and nutrition with service to see if effective or not, and give constructive feedback on what could be improved on the sites on healthy based diets, so they can sell more healthy food. And does this source, that link, take you to a page that have 21 organizations that help with healthy diet. So if you need like free food, healthy free food, or healthy like plants, you go to that link and take you there. So many organizations around New York City. And thank you very much.
Did you know every year around 43.8 million people are diagnosed with a mental illness? It is important that we as a family, friends, and citizens are aware of what mental wellness is and how we can help those who suffer from it. Being aware of your emotional and mental health is important because it's a vital part of your life and impacts your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions.
Mental health is often considered a taboo subject in many families and cultures, though it should be considered just as important as physical health. Mind and body should be considered one. Being healthy emotionally can promote productivity and effectiveness in activities like work, school, or caregiving. One of the most important pieces of information to remember is to never think of mental wellness as a negative aspect of life. Never discriminate against others just because they have a mental illness. Instead, offer help and support. Be someone who can be part of that change. According to a study, many people's problems are made worse by the stigma and discrimination they experience from society, but from families, friends, and employers. This negative stigma surrounding mental wellness has come to an end, and you could be part of this change. We are in a partnership with the New York Presbyterian Hospital to install requested centers for treatment. This helps prevent stigma and aim for a healthy community who supports mental wellness. For more information to request a center in your community, go to our website yourmentalhealthmatters.org.
World Health Organization defines mental wellness as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stress of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Affecting how someone thinks, acts, and feels, mental wellness depends on anyone's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. What is our purpose? We want to end the negative stigma surrounding mental health, spread awareness such as biological factors including genes or brain chemistry, life experiences like trauma or abuse, and family history with mental health problems to those around our communities, and talk about mental health and how they can help. We want to make sure that in our homes, schools, and work environments, we are able to feel safe and comfortable. We are able to bring up mental wellness without being paranoid or worried. Our purpose is to bring mental wellness resources to our communities and connect with others who might feel alone.
We end this stigma? We end this stigma by start by conducting online surveys in various communities in Uptown Manhattan and start educating those that need the most help. Hospitals about mental health resources that are needed in our community. Ask them to establish centers that are able to inform and help others on mental wellness. Teach people in our communities that what resources they can use if they have a mental illness or someone they know has a mental illness. This is the community map we chose for the project. And these are the locations.
The workers to inform our public about mental wellness and what we should do to help others. We will bring in therapists and psychologists as well to give insights of what it means to be mentally healthy and why should we talk about it. With this, we hope to interrogate the stigma surrounding mental wellness in our communities.
And information for the community. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Half of mental health disorders show first signs when a person is 14 years old, and 3/4 of our mental health disorders begin before the age of 24. Less than 20% of children and adolescents with diagnosable mental health problems receive the help they need. And mental health illness occur from the interaction of multiple genes and other factors such as stress, abuse, or a traumatic event, which can influence or trigger illness in a person who has an inherited susceptibility to it.
How can we stop the stigma? First, we have to talk openly about mental health. We have to educate yourself about mental health. We have to be conscious not to be using stigmatizing words. We have to encourage equality in how people perceive mental illness. And we have to show empathy towards people with a mental illness.
Community mobilization and monitoring process. Families, workplaces, schools, and communities are potential resources to support mental health. Be aware of the multiple forces that exist at all social, ecological levels, individual, interpersonal, and institutional. Invest in your community and participate to provide resources and inform others of interventions, recognizing the expertise outside the healthcare system. Highlight major developments and trends instead of ignoring it, or not thinking of others who suffer from mental illness. This is a little chart. And this is a survey we made. I don't think, there it is. So our first question is, the first 3 questions are about demographics. So we can see a trend. And we wrote a question about how often somebody worries about their own mental health resources, if they're aware of them, how much accessibility is an issue, including money or financial resources, outlets that are available to them, and have they been diagnosed, and what outlets they use in times of stress. And that's it. Here's our works cited page, and that's it.
Mental wellness group.
Substance abuse and addiction is a public health issue that is continuing to grow as a collective in all of humanity. To begin to understand the root of the problem in addiction overall, we have to know what it is. Substance abuse is classified in the DSM-5
as dependence or substance abuse disorder, in which a person has a powerful desire and overwhelming compulsion to repeat a behavior even though the results are no longer desirable. Nearly 23 million Americans, almost 1 in every 10, are addicted to alcohol and other drugs.
More than 2/3 of people with addiction abuse alcohol. The top 3 drugs causing addiction are marijuana, opioid narcotic pain relievers, and cocaine. In 2016, drug overdoses killed over 63,000 people in America, while 88,000 people died from excessive alcohol use. We want to know what it is contributing to people's addictions and what's preventing the city from intervening and cleaning the streets.
For these reasons, we are hoping that the governor or the government can create more shelters, rehab centers, and make resources like getting insurance more accessible for them to obtain.
Our focus are on hardcore street drugs. We want to spread a message of the effects it has on people's lives. Adult substance abusers are 2.7 times more likely to be abusive toward their children and 4.2 times more likely to be neglectful. Many of the adults want to be clean but don't have the resources around them.
One solution would be to have more clinics for drug users and have informative classes in schools that teach about the dangers of drugs and its effect on the body and the brain. We also want the local police to help by taking the dealers off the streets. Also, involving schools such as counseling and shelters where they can stay up to a year and continue their education while learning about themselves while being in a space where they can withdraw safely. Substance Abuse Hotline, 1-800-662-4357.
We did substance abuse, and our main focus was kind of substance abuse in like Manhattan and Harlem, because a lot of the people in our group were in like the Harlem area. Go to the next. Go to the next slide. Okay, so our proposal is we propose a solution to substance abuse problems in Harlem. More than 21 million Americans will suffer from substance abuse, and only 10% will get help. In 2018, 267 Manhattan residents died over drug overdoses, which is the third largest number of overdoses in that year. Our solution to this problem is to open more clinics in our communities for drug users to visit and get help. We would also like more classes on information in schools to teach children and teens about the negative effects of drugs on the body and the mind. And then we would also like for the police to take the dealers off the street. And in conclusion, we think that this would be a good way to lower the numbers of cases and deaths in Harlem from substance abuse.
What we learned over the course of our 8-week program with public health was the lack of resources and nutrition in our communities, mostly low income. We noticed how we have very limited access to healthy resources, and most of the foods that are near us are very unhealthy, which also causes like obesity around us. And we explained this by doing a community mapping that we did as a group and individually. We mapped out our communities and the resources that were near us. And we also noticed that we lacked like urgent care and clinics around us. And we learned to educate ourselves, to advocate for what we believe in and for issues that affect the people around us who sometimes don't have the ability to advocate for themselves. And we learned simple things just like water that aren't accessible to people depending on the region that they live in the world. Just the simple fact of like clean water, and sometimes we look at tap water and we don't want to drink it, but there's people that live in other countries who are drinking water that are sometimes more toxic than ours. And we learned complete skills such as journaling, to just gather our thoughts and express ourselves, and to just cope with issues in different ways. And we may be facing personal issues, and we read about this in the mental health module in our public health internship. And we learned the progress of healthy living and healthy eating to keep ourselves safe during the pandemic, noted in the COVID-19 module for our internship. And overall, we're leaving this program with knowledge to advocate for ourselves, do what we want, and to just take this opportunity to learn about things that we didn't know before and take this knowledge on to others around us. Based on the community mapping, these were certain things that we were looking for. So we were looking for the local businesses near us, the institution, the health institutions and professionals, and the engaged members in our community and community organizations that could benefit us, and just financial institutions to see what they were doing to help the community and how many health institutions we had near us and how accessible they were for us. Good go.
Okay, so this is some information that we already gathered. The first fact is 21 million Americans will suffer from substance abuse and only 10% will get help. 267 Manhattan residents died of a drug overdose in 2018. And also they had the largest number of overdose deaths in a year. Over 90% of Americans that struggle with substance abuse began in early teenage years. 20% society struggle with substance abuse, and adult substance abusers are 2.7 times more likely to be abusive towards their children and 4.2 times more likely to be neglectful.
These are some questions we want you guys to ask yourself as the presentation goes on. What will you gain from filling your body with all of these toxins and painkillers, such as cocaine and etc., and other drugs? What feeling are you trying to numb out or avoid when you reach any of these kind of substances? Why not just get professional help on your current issue if you want to receive help? What's stopping you from receiving the help? Why take these drugs? Why fall into the peer pressure? Have you ever used drugs or alcohol to fit in? That's also another issue. You want to look cool. You want to fit in with the group of kids in your class. You don't want to be seen differently, so you do what they tell you to do, or you fall into it. Have you ever felt pressured by anyone or anything to use? It happens.
This is some information. I think this is the actual hotline that we listed before. So it's called the SAMHSA National Helpline. Is the hotline that anyone could call if they need any help or questions regarding substance abuse or drug use. They offer confidential free help from public health agencies. This was taken off of Google. They also have a website here. Also just websites that you could find out more about drugs and addictions and substance abuse.
What we will leave the program is with the ability to assist our community so that they can thrive and advocate for themselves and know what governors they're voting for and what they're going to bring to the community and how they're going to help, and just more activism to just activate for what's right and show people that as a community there's resources that we lack and that we need. And also with perseverance, which means challenges, and so we will challenge ourselves to improve ourselves and others around us. And we're leaving as very strong-minded adults, and we're aspiring to accomplish our goals, because at the end of the day, we are our only obstacle. And with various interview skills and communication and public speaking skills, to learn how to advocate for ourselves, learn how to not be nervous every time we go to our interview, and learn how to communicate our thoughts and what we could bring to the table in a potential job or in a potential organization that we might work in. Like mapping our community to see what resources we had near us, whether it was like supermarket stores, health centers, medical centers, and some noticed that there's certain resources that we lack, and we also lack like healthy food resources. And when they are available, they tend to be like far away or expensive, and that's why a lot of people like in our community tend to have certain diseases like obesity and diabetes, because everything around them has a lot of sugar and has a lot of oil, and fast food is something that a lot of people rely on rather than like healthy food. Like some gyms are next to very unhealthy foods rather than like a juice bar or something.
I learned that like the high amounts of fluoride could be very, very dangerous, and I never really knew that. I never really knew that because I remember drinking tap water, even though it had fluoride in it. but I never knew that it could really affect a person to the point where like their teeth is decaying or like their body is getting messed up. Like that was something that I never knew about. So I remember learning about that.
So she gave us like a lot of coping mechanism of how to take deep breaths and like meditate on what you're grateful for, at least for a minute a day, to rechange our perspective and our mindset for the day. Knowing what we have in control, what we don't have in control, is a great ability to have in order to maintain our mental health.
Personal stories can grab people and grab their attention to the problem you are trying to fix.
Even within our own track, whenever you guys shared, something personal, whether it was something related to the diary and the journaling we had to do, or something where we're talking about topics, that spoke a lot, and that actually gave me the idea to include the substance abuse, the nutrition, and mental wellness into the module. That wasn't the original plan, but after you guys spoke, that's what informed our process.
Change takes time, so like sometimes we want something that we really want to like happen fast, but we have to understand that like every step we take is one step closer to like getting our goals. So we have to just like relax and like let the progress flow so that we can just get towards what we want to get, because the longer the process, maybe the bigger the reward you'll get and the more you'll learn. So it's just better to just like relax and just know that those steps are going to get you to where you want to go, whether it takes long, and it's just going to be worth it in the long run, and just to like not rush yourself and like take it easy on yourself as well.
One of the things that I was concerned about, well, a number of things with the COVID quarantine, I was so concerned that some students would not, younger children do not understand what 6 feet apart is. And now that school's going to be opening soon, that is really an essential skill for children to do. This is a simple way of having people to understand what 6 feet apart is.
I remember about like the assignment, how patience is key for teaching someone and for someone else teaching you.
Thank you so much. And Joanne, thank you so much for your generosity in providing for all these kids and sending it to Uptown, doing all of that work.
Oh, that's not a problem. I just love it.
Joanne.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.